Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the One Last Cast podcast. My name is Jonathan, and as always, we have my co-host here, Merriel Solesky. Say hi, Merriel.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit after Thanksgiving. Had our fill of turkey. Fishing's been awesome. Trout are everywhere. Redfish are everywhere. Obviously, flounder are everywhere. um,
Yes.
and it's just this is my favorite time of year, going into winter. But fishing's been great. But today, I think we've been, Meryl's been trying to get me to do this for a long time, and I've been kind of like not into it. But I think we're going to do like the anti-giving spirit and go to a little more controversial topics that we generally don't go into. So, as the title suggests, we're going to go into spot burning and YouTubers. It's I know everybody has their own take on it. I have my take. Merrill has her take. And also, we're joined today by Team Jackson Kayak team member Dustin Nichols, awesome tournament angler. Met him at a couple of tournaments. He's also a YouTuber, not YouTuber, a podcaster. Sorry. He has a Paddler's Fin Chasing the Tide podcast. I've listened to a couple of their episodes. Very, very good and informative. So give them a shout out and listen as well. But before we do anything, let's kind of give a shout out to our sponsors, DSK, Dirty South Kayak Anglers. Go to that Facebook group and you can find some really good people there and some great information as well. And just looking for a group to join to get into kayak fishing or anything like that, head on over there. Also, 4A Printing, they do our custom towels and custom merch. So the Houston Astros just recently won the World Series. Go Astros! And I know Aaron over there was printing out some of those rally towels that they had at the game. So that's really awesome. And also Knocking Tail Lures. Unfortunately, if you're listening to this now, you just missed their 50% off sale that Knocking Tails Lures had. I restocked on like the bulk bags of the Knocking Tail Lures, the 3.5-inch ones. They had the 5-inch as well. I'm sorry, that's a 4-inch, and also they have a smaller version as well. They have the 5-inch, but those are my go-to plastics, and I've been using them for a while now, and they're awesome. And I had to revamp because I ran out of the lime truce, this lime color. I forgot what their actual color of it, but that's my favorite one. Also, kind of restocked on the plum chartreuse as well. Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just bring Dustin in. Kind of let him introduce himself and we'll go from there. How's it going, Dustin?
Hey, what's up, Jonathan? Merrill, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on, bud? It's good seeing you, man.
For bringing me on in the shenanigans tonight. yeah, everybody. I'm Dustin Nichols. I'm on the Jackson Kayak's factory fishing team and also host a podcast, Chasing the Tide. It's on the Paddle and Fin podcast network. Duh. And if y'all listen to my stuff, y'all know I'll talk the damn paint off the wall. So good. Glad to be on One Last Cast with y'all guys.
Yeah, I think you were one of the original podcasters, I guess, right? One of the first ones to start it up, like talking about kayak fishing like that. I remember you started this way back when. I mean, how many years has it been?
I think this is my 4th year doing it. I mean, I'm not one of the originals. I mean, some of the guys on.
I mean, for like our region.
For some of our region, yeah. I don't know if we've had any beforehand.
He was the first for me.
Kind of
so.
Yeah, you were the first for me, at least.
Oh,
I
cool.
remember seeing.
Right on.
Yeah. And
I was a guest on Paddle and Fin. There's a couple guys that were on Jackson also, and we I jumped on as a guest and talked about some, punching and fishing heavy matted grass and stuff for some bass side stuff. And then they were like, dude, you ought to host your own. Like, we need some saltwater stuff. I was like, all right, cool. I'm down for that.
That's how it starts. Yep. And also Aaron from 4A Print, he's on the chat right now. Which, by the way, if you want to join us, we are live. We try to be live every other Wednesday. It's been the holiday, so the schedule's been a little bit inconsistent. We're trying to get back onto it, but we're live every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time at facebook.com/One Last Cast podcast. But Aaron is in our chat, and he says if you still want those Astros towels, he can get them to you for $5. So that's a pretty good deal.
Shoot,
yeah. So let's
Wait, I want to say something about those.
Yeah,
those towels come in so handy, man. Especially if you're catching you're catching a lot of fish.
Oh yeah, are they microfiber too?
Yeah,
keep one of them and clean your glasses with, dude.
Oh yeah,
sunglasses and everything. Those are like money too. Because
I always have like a towel clipped to my pants, and it's just so handy.
Especially
I
that
will
trout
say
slime.
that, yeah, that trout slime especially. But
The
the worst thing,
hardhead slime's the worst.
Yep.
well, that's just you, Merrill. So,
Yeah, that's just me.
but the worst thing is I use Waterloo rods, and I use the Fandom series, and they have like EVA foam cork, EVA foam grips. Those, and especially cork, especially as well. If you get slime on those, it never comes off. And there's been a couple of times wherever I'm like, it's a like redfish are busting or trout are busting or just a bunch of activity happen, and I make a cast and like the rod almost slips out of my hand because it's all slimy from fish. That towel just prevents that. So, um, anyways, let's just get into it. You know, back in like the 2000s, YouTube came about and it was just a video sharing platform, and it has evolved into the largest video platform in the world. Um, it just started off with just people just sharing whatever they wanted, and it became a lot more. It became more developed as people started developing their own content on there, and it started with like talk shows, now gaming, and then fishing, sporting, everything, and whatever you can think of, you can probably find it on YouTube. Um, and especially with fishing, there's now a whole segment in there where it's just people who make fishing videos, and there's just content from all everywhere. If you want to go fishing in California, you can find it. Texas, you can find it. Florida, especially Florida. So I guess we'll start with Merrill here. But is your take on like on YouTubers in general for fishing? Like, has been good? Has it been bad? What's your take on that?
I think it's a lot. It was an avenue to make money. Uh, I think that's how a lot of people see it now. Is it's an avenue to make money, and some people do that for a living, make YouTube videos, and people watch it. More subscribers, the more views, the more money they make. And then I think there's Patreon too, where you could pay and get additional information. So I think it's more of like a money avenue for those people. I remember watching YouTube when it was like I only watched Brian McPherson back in the day, and to be honest, I didn't care what he was doing. I wanted to see where he was fishing. So I'm guilty of that, right? And I know it comes find out I never even really fished any of his spots. I kind of just focused in on like my area, but I saw what he was doing and see if that would help like the pieces of puzzles that I was missing in my fishing game. I ended up making my own mistakes and doing my own thing, and that's pretty much how I learned. But yeah, I watched YouTube. I watched a couple videos. Guilty of it, if I want to fish a new area or somewhere in Florida or something like that, I'd go to YouTube and see where they're fishing, what they're doing, how they're doing it, stuff like that, just to get some insight. I also go to local bait shops and stuff like that and see if I could get some advice doing it that way. But how I feel about it, has it impact me? Man, I just move. So I guess I'm probably not good to talk about it because I move. Like there's a lot of people coming in this spot, and it's happened, right? It's happened without a doubt. I fish this spot, and then somebody does a YouTube video. It's real popular in our area, and the place is loaded with people, and that's just what happens. That's the nature of it. But good thing about me is I don't fish one area. I fish a lot of areas, and I've learned over the times just to. I used to share a lot of the areas that I fish. I don't mind sharing some of the spots, but some of the real good spots I kind of keep to myself now.
What about you, Dustin? What's your take on YouTubers?
Oh man, it can be good to a point, but there's a lot of bad habits you pick up from YouTube, especially the ones that are spot burning for likes and subscriptions. I mean, they're going to blow out a spot. We've had a lot of launches taken away from us already, just from people dirty trashing YouTubers having meetups at launches and all kinds of good stuff. Maybe some not so well known stuff too, but some stuff that was kind of under the radar that is just blown out of proportion now. Just like what did you say? He said, new to kayak YouTube, it showed me a lot. Yeah, YouTube can be a plethora of knowledge. It can, but it can also just ruin stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I guess it's a double-edged sword, right?
It is.
It
It
is,
is
and
the
it's
ultimate
tough.
double-edged sword.
I mean, and the guys that are using it for a income generator, they're putting videos out every week. You know, they got to create content. Especially if they're trying to live by it. You know, and you think more subscriptions, more likes, more exposure, more money. You know, when they monetize it. But yeah, there's some good stuff out there. But I'm gonna tell you right now, buying spots and GPS fish catch marks and people trying to tell you what to do, it doesn't kill time on the water. Time on the water will trump everything in that
Oh yeah, definitely. The
form.
experience on the water is
And yeah,
is 10 times better than.
I've
But I
gotten into
mean,
some back and forth banter, and they're like, well, you know, so and so, well, it helps the people that can't get on the water as much and all that. Well, I said that's what I love. Even if I work shift work, I sacrifice, you know, sleep when I'm on nights to get out in the morning right after work and kill them. You know, try to find out what they're doing and pattern the fish and keep track of them. You know, keep a log. You know, but YouTube, it can be good. Like you can watch. Like it is a tool. It is a tool. I'll use it. Like I'll look up, say I'm gonna go fish Lake Kissimmee, the Kissimmee chain. I'll start looking at YouTube videos of that, some bass boat guides or something, and kind of watching and figuring out how to pattern the fish and figuring out what areas, you know, because sometimes like Bassmaster, I give a lot of stuff away on their videos. They'll like zoom in on the spots and everything and like where the guys are running and all kind of good stuff. There's definitely tools out there, you know.
Yeah,
But like I said, the water time on the water is just Trump.
so I mean, I guess the real question is like, do you think YouTube is a good thing, more of a good thing, or more of a bad thing, or is it just a double-edged sword for you?
It's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword because,
Okay.
like, if you look at it, YouTube has increased the amount of people fishing, which is both good and bad. Like I'm really happy to bring more people into our sport. Back in like 2010, 11, 12, there you had, or even before that, kayak fishing was not a thing. Well, no, kayak fishing was becoming a thing at that point.
Yeah.
And then like 2015 came along. Whenever I came in, I was at the very beginning of where it started becoming very popular. We had like back then it was Stillwagon and Bargy and all these other fishermen who they were Dean Thomas. They all were the old school, the old guard, and it was just a handful of them who they were bringing kayak fishing in, and I hopped on that, and became very popular. And now it's, you look at the kayak market, if you even just look at the pedal fishing kayak market, they've introduced pedal kayaks that are around $1,000, which is unheard of the entry level, because they are trying to get, it's so saturated now that they're trying to get the lower price point people into this is the entry level pedal kayak. So the market has already shown that it's becoming wildly popular, and it's both good and bad, because now there's more people in the water, which is good, but also there's more people in the water.
You can't drive down the causeway in Corpus without seeing kayaks.
Exactly. But I think the biggest thing, like you said, it's a very good tool. The biggest thing, though, is whenever you have launch spots taken away. And that's the most difficult part, because and I'm sure it's the same in Corpus, but like if you look in Galveston here, 90% of the land around Galveston is owned.
Yes.
And with that 90%, you have I would even say less than 10% of that is accessible by people, the public. And then that number has dwindled. I'll even go like right now. If you go over to San Luis Pass over here in Galveston, Bay Breeze. That's been since I was a kid, when we had a house down that way. That was where we would fish every single time during the summer. Very fond memories there. No longer accessible. Bay Breeze is no longer accessible.
That was a well-known kind of spot too.
It was a well-known. Yeah, it was a well-known. And now it's just not accessible for people. Of course, you can drive on to San Luis.
I mean,
right.
You can drive to San Luis, but
you could get there. But,
you can get there.
But no, it's not. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. A lot of these spots are like a good one I like to share is the 8 Mile spot, right? Yeah. We all remember 8 Mile.
Oh, yeah.
They shut that place down. I mean, and one of the reasons, not only that somebody bought it, but it was that one of the reasons they sold it is because people were trashing it. Mm-hmm. They were trashing the spots, and they just got tired of keeping up with it. And you had people like Alex Alamon over there ruining the spot, so throwing all this trash everywhere. And it
Dang.
just,
Yeah,
what can
that's
you
shots
do?
fired right there. I thought we were gonna we had a pre-production meeting. We weren't gonna name drop anybody.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I won't mention Alex's name.
But yeah, I do think I do want to emphasize that it is a very good tool. Like Dustin said, like if you go to a new lake that you're fishing, it gives you a starting point. They're fishing deep. Yeah, because they're looking at the recent videos. They're fishing deep using jigs or drop shot is more effective. At least you have a starting point.
Yes.
Because I know lake by lake, it's completely different and wildly different especially for bass fishing. So
they're totally different.
Yeah.
Scratch your head sometimes.
Yeah, I've watched one. I do like watching bass videos because I'm not a bass fisherman. I think it's very interesting. And there'll be lakes that are they're basically next to each other, and the patterns are completely different, just because even though they're right next to each other. So I can understand that. Just kind of having an understanding of like the geography and what the fish are doing. That's a very good tool. But I think also it becomes a kind of a crutch too.
Yes.
And I think Dustin, you had something to say. We were talking in pre-production about people depending on stuff like that.
Yeah. I get it. They're trying to make money, but that whole Patreon thing, where you got different levels of membership and all that, and then you pay a subscription fee, a monthly fee, and you get access to, say, a more of a private, detailed fishing outlook or fishing report. Then you get like GPS tracked marks and like fish catch locations and launch points and everything. I was like, okay, that's great and all. You're paying for a spot, but I'm gonna tell you what, everything's gonna change. There's so many variables. The fish are gonna move, the water's gonna move, the current's different, the tide's different, the temperature's different, the wind's different. I mean, there's so many variables that change.
Yeah, pressure's different too.
Yeah, and you put in work, and that's what's rewarding, is putting in the work and figuring out the pieces to the puzzle. That's what's rewarding to me, is going out and trying to pattern these big trout, which I love oh so dearly. I know all of y'all agree with me.
Yeah.
I'd much rather go catch some of them slimy fools than the dang redfish, But it's just rewarding when the work pays off. It is.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, like, I'll be honest, I'm biased, dude. Right? I got friends that are YouTubers. I've got guys that I've taken the YouTube class. They're big time YouTubers. I've taken my guide class with them. I mean, I hear what they're saying, but I mean, to say that I'm not affected by it, I'd be lying, right? I've been to spots where once it's posted, and then it's like a whole bunch of people just show up, and then sometimes it's like you got clients there, and you're like, all right, we got to go. So your plan has to change because. Right, people got there before you, and waiting on customers to get there and stuff like that. So you gotta figure things out. You gotta adapt, and I don't know. Maybe I just
I mean, just like it's double-edged sword. Like there can be good points too. Is like what time on the water will do is what YouTubers that might not name their spots, you might recognize that area from the backgrounds and from the different grass and the different variations in the grass in the marsh you're in, or little duck blinds here and there and all that. You pay attention to backgrounds, and you spend enough time in the water fishing different areas, and you'll start to pick up on little nuances in different things. Yeah, that's what time on the water does right there. And I fished, growing up, I fished in Southeast Georgia, big tide swings and everything like that. And I bass fished a lot of tidal fisheries, kind of similar to the Sabine over there. But moving here, I've been here since '96. And then just what I love so much about Texas was, whoa, you can get out of the boat and walk around. You're not sticking up to chest deep mud, And then, in 2013, I think is when 13 or 14 is when I got a kayak and just really started branching out, because I fish a lot before I surfed in the mornings down in Corpus, just walking into spots and stuff. And I was like, a kayak's going to extend my range more. And I just, I love to fish. So it just kind of worked hand in hand. And I guess I really didn't know about the, Texas kayak fishermen and the message board and all that back then, because I was all on a surf message board, but I never even thought to think of looking at fishing message board. So I was kind of behind the times, and I was still fishing kayaks, but I was kind of just a loner and just kind of would do it here and there. Surfing was more priority, but I still love to fish. Being a surfer, you're a waterman. When the waves are flat, you fish, or you play golf or skateboarding. Yeah. So but yeah, it's it's.
So you're from Corpus, Dustin? I didn't know that about you. Huh?
No,
I
I'm
didn't know
from.
you were from
I live
Corpus.
in. I fish down there a lot. I live in Victoria, but I fish Corpus,
Oh
Rockford,
man, that's not Corpus, bro. Come on,
and Port
man.
Lavaca. But that's where I used to surf all the time. I mean, I
In
drive down
Victoria?
there to surf. No, in
No,
Corpus.
I'm just teasing you. I'm
I
just
know there ain't no way in Victoria. I'm not surfing in Coleto. That out far
you
in
head out
Coleto.
to Bob Hall and all that.
Yeah, I used to fish. I used to surf Bob Hall, surf Pack Reed, and drive down to Mansfield, surf South Padre, surf Matagorda a lot,
Oh, that's cool, man. I didn't know that.
all over
Yeah,
the country.
I'm originally from Corpus.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you got some
yeah,
stuff going on there.
yeah. I fished all those popular spots and
There's some
driving
fun.
down
There's
Back
some.
Bay. Those
Yep.
old crazy roads in Back Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Big old potholes and a whole bunch of shrimp back there. And yeah, that's a good spot.
There's some
But
good stuff down there.
oh yeah,
I love
And
it down there.
at the same time, I do want to also mention that, like, for those of the people who do YouTube fishing, like, as their main source of income, like, hats off to them. It's very
Yeah.
difficult. It's not easy. People think it's easy. It's not easy. I work in, my main job is I work in marketing. I do social media for whatever my companies I do, and there's so much of it that goes into it. There are personality types that are very well made for YouTubing, and it makes it easy for them. And there are personality types that is just the most difficult thing ever. And I work with both, and it's just not just creating videos. It's creating content plans. How do you market them? Scheduling, everything like that. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Even like, I hate it. I really hate it. I hate whenever you see it, the YouTube clip, and it's like a red circle. But of course, the reason why they use a red circle is because, like, it's eye catching. It brings your eyes.
Yeah, them thumbnails. Yeah, you gotta have some thumbnail game.
You
to
got to
catch
have the
some stuff.
thumbnail
Yep.
game. Yeah. But I hate the red circle because it's like,
Yeah.
if you just take a better picture and we'll see it, but like, even stuff like that, the nuances of, like, how to do a title, how to do subscriptions, how to do it matters. So there is work that goes into it, and there is value in it. But whenever, like, you mentioned Patreon, which, like, I think 5
I wonder
years
if
ago,
Ben's got a Patreon.
Ben just brought a pretty good deal up. He says we are a small niche in the grand scheme of YouTube, and that goes like what's his name, Black Tip H. He's got a ton of subscribers, but he had some viral videos that he did that was like toothpaste on the headlight to see if it cleared up the scratches. Like 12 million views or something like that. That's how much. That's like a big old chunk of money. You get
my buddy did one with
a million views on a video. And you're monetized. That's a good chunk of money.
My buddy did one with fixing Nathan. He did one where fixing rusty pliers, and I mean, he's catching 30-inch trout on his videos, catching big fish. I mean, and then just cleaning rusty pliers got the most views out of all of his YouTube videos.
It's tough though, because you got to be able to put up something every week, like for YouTube to start recommending you and this and that, and it's, and a lot of people, like, as far as being a content creator, I'd rather just focus on some other stuff and not try to have to film a video every week, because I'd rather just get some pictures.
I'd rather just fish,
Yeah,
not worry about
take a picture every now and then, set up the camera.
And I'll be honest. I think in like 2012, 13, I've really wanted to think about going into doing all this. Of course, I was already behind the time because, by that point, this fishing YouTube area was already saturated. But it was just so difficult because it's so time consuming as well. I have hundreds of hours of footage, like, on a hard drive and multiple hard drives. And I just never found the time to go and edit it because it just took so much time to do. Now I just go back and look at it and just kind of use it as part of my, what was happening in November of a few years ago.
There's another tool in that arsenal,
Yeah, exactly. Sure. But like, as a Patreon, that wasn't a thing, and now, you mentioned that you can buy spots. That's
well, how do y'all feel about that, buying spots? That's a big
no
for
on a
both
rant.
You guys.
Every time it comes up, I go on a rant about it, and I posted.
Go ahead, man. I want to hear it. Like, what's the big deal about? I'm gonna play devil advocate here. Right? Don't beat me up.
Buy something.
But
I don't know.
What's the difference for me taking a guide, right?
Well, I'd much rather people guide them. I'd much rather people hire a guide and learn something from it instead of just getting a spot out of the deal. You know, with a guide, at least you're learning some of it and you're cutting the learning curve. And they're going to show you some stuff with baits and show you some different techniques you might not be familiar with and can help you. Now, if these guys in the YouTube videos can do that, then that's great. But a lot of them I don't see doing that.
So I guess your point is like having somebody go to this spot that doesn't know what the heck they're doing is more irritating than somebody paying for a guide and actually fishing a spot that they know what they're doing. Well, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been to spots and I mean, you can see like some of the ones that follow certain YouTubers, their kayaks will be set up the same way. I don't know if y'all see that also.
I see them out there, bro. I see them out there.
And you'll be going and you'll be fishing an area and these guys will just blow right through us. You're like, oh my God, you just blew through a school of fish. And you didn't even know you saw them. You didn't even see them. Like, it's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And actually I have an instance of that. So there's a spot that has been kind of, unfortunately for me, it's one of my favorite spots because it's so close to home over in Clear Lake. And
whoa, hey, what's going on here? The whole thing's about spot burning and you're just gonna just blurt that out?
I'm just saying, okay, it's in the Upper Galveston Bay area.
Hey, let's just stick to Seawolf Park.
There we go, Seawolf Park. Texas Bayou. It's over
there. You go. Texas Bayou.
What's up, Ricky?
But there's a spot that's just been like it's so close to home. I love fishing there because like I can actually go there like after work.
Yeah.
And there, you know, there's trout, redfish, and I like I said, just love fishing there. And more recently, the last 2-3 years, whereas like the whole time I fished there, I'd probably see maybe less than a dozen people there. And this is a byproduct of people in the water. I'm not sure like people know that people fish there, though I did see a video there, and that may be why people are fishing there. And now I'm seeing 30, 40, 50 people throughout the season at this one location.
Yeah.
And it sucks. But at the same time, whenever I'm out there and there's other people, you know, I'll fish around them. You know, I won't, you know, I won't go up to them.
3 feet from their boat, you know,
yeah, just cast right on top of them. But there's actually a series of like 3 drop-offs there. And in the video, they're fishing the shoreline because that's what normally people do. And especially in kayak, they fish the shoreline. I'm fishing like the 2nd or 3rd drop-off. And that's where all the fish are. So all these people, not all these people, but there'll be a few people or be, you know, just fishing the shoreline, casting, you know, down it. And I'd be off, you know, 20 yards off the shoreline and just fishing down. And it's really funny because sometimes I don't want people to know that I'm hooking up on fish, and I'll just be fishing right there and I'll just keep my rod down and be like,
reel them in real
quick. Oh, it's a trout. Yeah. And, you know, I'll just be doing this. And I think that's the bad part with spot. If you buy spots, it's like, you're not gaining anything except for spot. I know a lot of people on our chat right now is like, you have to spend time on the water, you understand tides and everything like that. And when you buy that spot, you're just going to go to that spot and fish it, but you're not going to understand why the fish are there or what's happening.
They moved or what happened.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, like why they're not there during the summer, or maybe more in the winter, you know, or you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, and actually, let me say, Drew, he's also a YouTuber. He mentioned in the chat right here, Patreon has gotten a bad rap for sure. It is the butt of all jokes. I agree, because of a few anglers who sell their launch spots, but Patreon can also be a really good way to support content creators, and that is totally true. I think there is value in some Patreon pages where they offer content creators offer a different type of service to their followers, and it's valuable. But yes, just gets a bad name because there's a few people who just sell spots.
Yeah. Austin also brings up a good point. Boats are great to tie off to on your kayak. It's a very good point, Austin. Thanks.
They have those like nifty cleats and everything.
Yeah, it does. Wrap around that. Thanks, bud.
No doubt.
But I guess from your perspective, Dustin, you know, I know there's a lot of Galveston has it too, but there are a lot of YouTubers in Corpus that you've seen?
There's quite a few. There's some more popped up over the last year or so, and there's a little trend in them. They want to try to make a name for themselves, I guess. You know, they're having their little meetups and all this stuff. And I mean, it's great, you know, if that's what they enjoy doing. But, you know, I like to be able to teach somebody. You know, I got more satisfaction in knowing I helped somebody land a PB trout or something than just giving them a spot. If I actually taught them something about a jerk bait or something, or some other transitional lure, like throwing some, you know, like actually the Texas custom lures, they make the double D. I don't know if y'all have thrown them or not.
The what?
Double D. I don't have
Well,
any
who
on
makes
like
it?
this. Texas custom lures. They make custom corkies, and also they make some.
Oh
good
yeah,
stuff.
I
The
fished.
double
I
D
fished
is
the
it
Corky.
looks like a softing, but you reel it down and it wiggles. It's almost like a floating rattle trap type deal.
Okay.
You swim it down about 1.5 foot, 2 fish. Jay Watkins throws them a ton and just wrecks them. I wrecked the redfish on them, but I actually catch bass on them. So I get more satisfaction out of teaching stuff to transition. You know, like flounder on a chatterbait. They absolutely kill them things. They can't stand that flash vibration. You know, they can't stand it. It's just something extra to drag on the bottom. They're a little heavier. They hold down in the current. Give away a little free tip there.
That's good information. Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
when they bite it, it's a bite.
They slam it. Redfish slam it too. Actually, I've caught plenty of trout on them too.
But stuff. For flounder though, whenever you're dragging it on the bottom, it's with a chatterbait. I've just started using it this year, and they just thump it. Like they can't stand it. Like it just
they cannot stand it. If there's flounder in the area off of deep ledges, and you're rolling that chatterbait to just like you when they hit it, you know they hit it because they. And actually, I've had I'd be reeling it in and almost get to the tip of my rod, and they're following it up in like 6 foot, trying to eat it, like still going after it. Like, oh, look at that wobble on that thing, that booty shake.
Speaking of flounder, we have the 15th of December, right? Is our coast, right? Okay.
There's still some
just
good
give you guys a heads up. We can start keeping flounder. So I mean, is it more of like a? Do you feel like some people that ruin? This is just general question, but do you feel like it's more of people doing it for selfish reasons more than educational? Like they're doing it more to make money, for views, clips, subscription. Is that more of what's bothering a lot of anglers versus, you know, going out, experiencing it, making mistakes and doing stuff like that? Is that really what's like? Is that like really the itch that bothers people? I mean, I'm just guessing, right?
Well, so back in like 2013, 14, whenever I was really thinking about doing this, and I was trying to figure out what to do in my life and whatever, you know, I posted a lot of like Galveston saltwater fishing on Facebook and Fish West End on the fishing forums too cool, Texas Kayak Fisherman. I posted really, really detailed reports. Obviously not videos, but I posted really, really detailed reports. And that got my into doing the content creation. Obviously, like I said, it's not videos, but it's a type of content creation is writing. Really detailed reports of like, you know, not where I was fishing, but how I was doing these things, you know, what I was targeting, how I was, you know, how I saw the water. And I'll be honest, it made me feel really good whenever you get 100 DMs, private messages. Hey, it's like, you know, what, you know, explain this to me, or, and it kind of evolved from there. And trust me, I bought into that so heavily. Like,
oh man, I hated that. Like I didn't mind it, but when it was like 2:00 in the morning or like 1:30, like those are, I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, you just turn on notifications. You have a silent mode on your phone, right?
Someone hate that Bill Carr just said, well, did the people catch fish before cell phone cameras? Well, yeah, they did. But back in the day, you had to get that old rotary phone when you got home and call somebody, and they had to be at home. You can't just you can't just pick up and text somebody, hey man, the fish are here. They're biting right now. Come on, get on the water now. Like
I will say, so before all this technology, it was, you know, whenever people would, like, if you're not giving away, but if you wanted to find fishing spots, you actually had to have skills in regard to like, you either had to have good fishing skills, and the other thing you needed to have, if you didn't have that, was that you're able to network, like talk to people. Yes. Yep. You actually had to go to these old timers who knew it and be like, hey,
and ramp talk.
Exactly.
whole launch talk, whole tackle
but
score talk.
you had to put your boots on the ground and actually go places and find the answers to it. And you still learn by doing that, because it's just like, you can't just be like, where did you fish? And here's it, and that's it.
Right.
You know, if you go talk to any fisherman, they're going to tell you a story. And from that story, you're going to have to pick out every single little bit of good information that you can.
Mm-hmm. Well, just like at tournaments. We come up to us at
me
tournaments
and Dustin,
talk.
when we get together,
we'll talk some stuff.
It gets nonstop fishing, lures and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
at these tournaments.
If you want good information, go to a fishing tournament. Even if you're not fishing it, just go in there and just start talking to people. Just go up
and 95% of them are going to share legit knowledge with you. Yeah. Even on the bass side, a lot of them guys will tell you straight up, hey, this is what I call them, this is what I was doing. They might not give you locations, but they're going to tell you what patterns were working and weren't. You know, this is pretty cool. The camaraderie side of things at these tournaments and stuff is actually what draws me to them. You know, and just and is with like-minded anglers and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely a plus.
Okay, I got another question, guys. Terrell says, that's because you're up at 2 a.m.
You're still on the water at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I'm actually going out tonight.
To go last night.
Yeah, I'm actually going out tonight, Terrell. I might go do a little swing by a spot here close to the house.
I am getting on early.
Yeah, but so like another question is, so how do you feel about people? Has it happened to you guys where somebody intentionally burned a spot due to bad blood or bad, something, right? So has somebody ever burned a spot? Has that even happened to any of you guys? Like you say, hey man, I appreciate it if you don't show anybody the spot, somebody you're trying to be friendly with. And then all of a sudden, hey man, I took this guy here. He's not going to tell anybody. And then boom, and then say, hey man, I'm going to show this other guy. He's not going to tell. And then that just kind of grows, or, any reason, right? Maybe y'all got bad blood.
No, I haven't really had anybody do that. I've had some people, I've had somebody unfriend me, block me for calling them out on PFDs and clients, but that's about it. I'm not
names, so you've never had anybody burn a spot?
Not really burn a spot, no. I've had people I've show up with other people, but it's like, whatever. You got to know how to fish the spot, and maybe if you show somebody something, you're not showing them everything. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm gonna take people out. I don't want to help people catch fish, but there are some spots within the spots that that's the juice ain't getting given away.
Yeah, and I know I've talked to a lot of guides when I'm out in the water and other people, and we communicate. Hey, look, is that considered the same? I mean, I don't know. Like, hey, dude, they're not biting over here. Hey, man, some people, they don't want to know spots. They want to know how you're catching them, right?
Yep.
Like, hey, catching them over shell. But some people are like, hey, man, catching them over here. Like, they want to know exactly where you're at. Hey, man, I'm on the south shoreline, of San Luis Pass, or, hey, man, I'm catching them on the north shoreline over here in West Bay, or, hey, man, I'm catching them over here on the south shoreline of East Bay, or north shoreline of East Bay. Those used to. Do y'all have any people that y'all communicate with like that, or?
Oh yeah. There's a network of friends and fellow anglers that will key in and talk about different areas or different things,
And those are people you build trust with, right? So that's different.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's not just public knowledge.
And I will also say that I have seen it. The internet is forever.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are online, the internet is forever. If you post something online, it's going to be there forever. You go to Too Cool. Go to Too Cool. And you're gonna.
I thought you said Google.
No. Oh yeah, it's also Google. Yeah, go to
Too
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, Too Cool Fishing. Go to
There's everything on there.
Everything's on, including spot burning on there. Yep. It's been a thing forever. I remember threads that got like 200, 300 replies long because basically somebody posted a picture, and like somebody they didn't even know each other, and somebody would say, "Hey, can you take this down because it's their spot," and it just evolves into the bitter arguments and everything like that.
Well, it all comes down to the water's public.
Yeah,
we don't own it. We don't own the launches. Some launches are private, but people have like a pay box or something. You might drop $5 in there and go launch, and then too many people start using it, leaving trash, and then it gets taken away. There's been a few of those down this way.
Exactly.
That's what I don't like.
That's what I don't like either. Like in like I said, like 90% of the water of the land that we launch from is already private, and that amount is ever increasing.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets to the point where I actually there's a spot now I can't get to because I just don't have a launch to get over there anymore unless I want to paddle like
So
15 miles.
Yeah.
speaking of, I mentioned Brian earlier. He's actually on right now. One of
Oh,
the original YouTube people I used to follow. But I remember back in the day, he brings up a good point. Mark Boudreaux used to pin drop and just pin drop, pin drop. So and they were good spots. They were really good spots. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. But he
Mhm.
pin dropped like a mofo back in the days.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was on a big, I think it was on TKF or
just
Galveston
let
Saltwater.
them have it.
Yeah.
And some people they get a kick out of it. People
I
getting upset
remember.
and getting mad. And Mark, I think, is one of those guys. He just gets a kick out of it. Like
Yeah.
he's not a bad dude. He likes to just push people's buttons and see how they react.
Yeah. And I remember one time that I actually did like in my one of my really super long reports, and it's probably still it's actually I pin dropped Baywater Bay Breeze Drive or whatever it was, and
Mhm.
I got so many like private messages telling me to like f off and whatever.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was just
the spot that
And
I
that's so
mentioned on I
common,
think
anyways.
yeah,
three
yeah,
videos.
yeah.
Super common spot. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very super common spot, but I was very,
Yeah.
my reports are very my reports are very detailed into like exactly like there's this drop off your fish, and if the current's moving from left to right, you're going to cast to your left and let the current take it down, and this is what I'm doing, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
just
Because yours are pretty damn detailed most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
very detailed.
So we did a podcast. I think it was 3 videos ago where I
Mhm.
mentioned the one by the bridge, Bayou Vista. I got 5 messages from that, like, "Hey, dude, like I don't catch a lot of fish," and I guess the way I described it and I was mentioning it, it kind of ticked
Kind of
some
gave it
people
away.
off.
Yeah.
So I mean, and
Mhm.
that's the thing though. Sometimes we do give too much information, and it does piss some people off because it happens. I think I gave a spot to a friend of mine that never fished our waters before, and he saw the guy that they're both fishing the tournament, and he told him, "Hey, who told you about this spot?" He's like, "Oh, my buddy Merriel." And I get a message, "Hey, Merriel, this is my tournament spot." Oh, sorry, man. I'm just trying to put the guy on fish. He's a good friend of mine, and I
And
mean,
that's
is that
different. A lot of
considered the
times
same? Huh?
that person might be, they might live like 3-4 hours away and they're not going to bring like 5 other friends next time.
Exactly.
And that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
he
stuff
lives
too.
5 hours.
Yeah.
No, 6 out, 5 to 6 hours away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's something I would understand, something like that. I would, yeah.
and it's not like I told him the exact spots. I'm just saying I told him the general area.
Right.
Like, hey, you're gonna have to figure that stuff out, right? A red doesn't always just hang out in one spot. That's it's
Mm-hmm.
not in the marsh. You got
They
to find
roaming.
them. Yeah,
They
you got to
roaming.
look for signs. You got to look for bait. Are they deep? Are they shallow? Are they feeding on the edges? Are they what are they doing?
I have a question in the chat right here.
Yeah.
Do y'all suggest talking to landowners, asking them to launch? Have y'all ever had really good success with this? I'm a very I am an extroverted introvert, and I don't like conflict, so I would never ask. I would just avoid it altogether.
Yeah, and I've never asked the landowner if I could launch on his property. How about you, Dustin? Has that ever
We,
happened to you?
well, back when I was a kid growing up in Georgia, that's how I used to fish all them farm ponds and catch all them big bass. Like you go knock on the door, hey, you mind if I fish on your property? I won't keep fish. I won't make a mess or everything. I'll take all my trash with you back in the day. But yeah, there's a couple places around this area on the mid coast here that there's been a couple of private areas I can access. It's not for everybody, but you become friends through a friend or something, and then it's like, oh yeah, hey, yeah, you can come in and launch there. There's some stuff over there in the Kellers Bay area. I'll give that name.
I fished Georgia once, fishing for bass, and I think that area was a little stocked because it wasn't very difficult to catch them.
Yeah.
I was plugging them on tree stumps and kind of like Sheldon, just plugging them on tree stumps and structure, catching them that way. So, yeah, I don't know if
There's
I would
some
know if that
good
be
areas
good.
over there. Yeah. A lot of good lakes in Georgia. A lot of good rivers, a lot of good inshore stuff in there too.
So
that big
you
flounder
venture
just
off
came from there. The 17-pound flounder just came.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Giant.
Yeah, that
He
was
stabbed
giant.
it though, right?
Yeah,
He gigged
he
it.
and that's my hometown where he was with some mutual friends. Like when he gigged it that night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yes.
It's difficult for me to imagine anything above 10 pounds, and but the 17-pounder.
Damn halibut. I had one day. I had caught a 24.5 and a couple 22s, and I hooked one. I swear it did like a freaking oversized redfish run. And when it came back to me, running to me, I caught up with it by the kayak, and it came in and rolled over and did, them flounder death rolls where they twist and flip at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the whole fish, and it threw my jig head, and I was just like, I swear, I was about cried. It's one of those, and it was during the star tournament, and it was one of those special fish that you don't get to see often.
You mind sharing that spot since we're talking about?
I caught some good ones out of there.
It's Seawolf Park, remember?
Yeah, Seawolf Park.
Mm-hmm. And a
wagon. So I guess now that we've gone over like spot burning and the YouTubers, and we haven't had you on here, Dustin, but whenever you go to a spot, what is it exactly that you're looking for? We're probably going to be very similar to what we've answered, but want to hear your take on it.
My take, well, it depends on what area they coast. Like if I'm further south, with the clear water and the flats and everything, I definitely want something with some transition. I like transition. Like if I'm in like a back marsh looking for redfish, I like Seawolf Park. All right, Drew.
Yeah.
I like to see transition in grass, different types of grass types. Also, I like to see some scattered shell, mud, some hard and soft bottoms, and maybe some depth changes here and there, some troughs. And it all depends on what time of year. That's a big plus for me. Right now, with the water temp cooling down, we've had some nice cool fronts coming in, little wind changes. We had a real good dump a couple weeks back. As far as trout go, they are pulling back off those deep shell areas. But the other day, just like I knew it was going to happen, the water cleared up with a northeast wind. I got an area that's kind of protected, and the low tide bottomed out. The tide started pushing back in, and them fish was on the edge of the dang reef, dude, in like less than a foot of water. I was throwing a floating corky up there, and they were 1-2 twitches, and they were slamming it because they were up there on that reef that had warmed up during the day. When that water started pushing back on it, that water was getting a little bit warmer. They were pushing on up in there, chasing the bait that was up there on that warmer water. I look for stuff like that. That's good stuff this time of year, especially when the water's so clear. You can see them flash on your corky. That's awesome. Don't get much better than that. But yeah, I like that mud shell to reef transition, some deeper water they can pull back off on this time of year. And then, don't hesitate to throw bigger baits too as it gets a little cooler. Yeah. The bigger trout will much rather expend their energy on something that's going to hold them over than have to eat a whole bunch of little stuff.
Yep. And I think also, and this kind of ties into a little bit of everything, but your experience on the water is going to be different from everybody else's, but that's also knowledge that you gain while you're out there.
Yeah.
And I actually, I wanted to tell this story. So Curtis and I, a couple weeks ago, we fished the Saltwater Survival Series tournament.
It was brutal that morning.
It was brutal, like 30, 40 mile an hour winds from the north. And I will say it, and I'll say it again. I'm not a redfish guy. Curtis is definitely not a redfish guy. It was his first fishing tournament, kayak fishing tournament. And we were game planning the whole week. And basically we decided on an area that both of us have never been to before. Like, I'm not a redfish guy. I don't have redfish spots to kind of pull out. I mean, I kind of do, but the conditions have to be right, and they just weren't right. Nobody's thinking about going fishing at 30, 35, 40 mile an hour winds.
No.
Yeah. And we went out there, and I mean, Curtis and I were talking about it, and we went to this area, and it was difficult getting there, but once we were there, it wasn't bad, even though it was still kind of bad because we're both kind of fit guys, and we ended up cramping up because it's just that water was rushing out of that drain. The wind was kind of, sometimes whenever we went around a curve, it was just in our face. But we got our limit of redfish, and that was our goal. We just wanted to catch a limit of redfish. Because with tournament days like that, you never know what's going to happen. Everybody could do really bad.
Oh, I know. That's what we were banking on, because we had fish like right the first drain. Me and Mike Fiorenza fished it. The first drain we pulled up to, we had a couple, lower slot fish, and then caught it off more, when we fished protected areas. We weren't really far from the launch either, but the wind was brutal. You get on a straightaway that had a little fetch, and it was like, bam, in your face. It's one of them days where you did not want to be on the water unless it was, you're doing something. But yeah, Drew and them find it. They found them pretty good. Mike Hayes, they had some good ones. Everybody,
they did.
Quite a few people found some fish, but then quite a few people like didn't even come to weigh in too. I mean, because the water fell out a lot of places. There was stuff that, like, one of my game plans was out of the equation, because you would have had to wade through, over waist deep mud to get out through it. It was like, no, not me.
Yeah.
I'm not that mad at them.
Yeah. But for us,
back in the day, that used to be something.
Dude, I'm over 50 now, so when you get over 50, you really don't want to be waiting.
Yeah, and once you get a certain age, you're like, no, you know what? We'll just chill here.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Just do something else. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, but like I said, that was like our goal, was just to catch redfish, and that's just knowledge on the water. Like going to the location. The new location is never a recipe for success. But we had, we just understood that that's, that water is going to be pushing out because of that north wind. This area was slightly protected, not fully protected, but slightly protected. And we had a shot there, and we executed, and we actually, I caught 3, Curtis got 1. And we just brought in our limit of redfish, and, it was a good tournament for us, even though we ended up getting like 10th. But,
we had I think we had right at 10 pounds, almost 10 pounds for 2 fish, which wasn't going to cash a check. But hey, I was just happy to catch a limit that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, that was my game plan. Just to get fish on the board was a accomplishment in that weather. So yeah, hats off to everybody that brought in solid ones.
Yeah, speaking of tournaments, I think we want to give a shout out to the tournament that's coming up.
Oh yeah, there's a Toys for Tots tournament actually this Saturday, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be. Hopefully, I'm going to publish this episode tonight. That way that we can get that out there for everybody. But for those who are listening, there is a Toys for Tots tournament set up by Christopher Burr every single year around this time. It's a team tournament, redfish. You can find the rules at Adventure Sports LLC. I'll get back to you. I'll post it later. But Adventure Sports, you can look it up online. But it's a Toys for Tots tournament, team tournament, redfish, and the entry fee is $100 for your whole team of 2 people, and you have to bring in a boy and girl toy.
Yeah.
So it helps. It's a Toys for Tots thing, and it helps the local community giving toys to those who aren't able to receive toys this year. It's very good stuff, and every single year it just gets bigger and bigger. And there's just so many toys that go out to these deserving kids who want something for Christmas. So go ahead and search it up and enter. I would love to have you participate. It's over here in Galveston. So yeah.
And actually the cutoff time is Friday at 12:00 midnight. Okay. So the earlier the better.
Yeah. Just bring your toys with you to weigh in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they can get, they got to get organized and see how much people are going to fish. I remember me and Nick fished that one year, and we brought it in last minute. Like there was like 3 minutes left, and we're going down a channel, and the tide was going the opposite way, and just going down that one channel took us about an hour, and when we're getting out, it only took like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
there's no motors allowed, and they're not allowing motors. So either your pedal power or paddle power.
Yeah,
and it's 80 for the main entry. There's 3 slot redfish, your best 3 slot redfish, and 10 each for your trout and big red pots. So it's 100 total, and a boy and a girl toy, team or solo. Yeah,
I remember that tournament well because I brought in a 4 1/4 pound trout, thinking I was going to win the trout side pot, and 3 minutes left. Yeah, Merriel, you came in and 3 minutes left on the thing and brought in like a 5-pounder, and I'm like, what the heck?
I wonder if there's a slot for this one. Is he doing?
Yeah, it has to be in slot. It has to be in slot.
What slot? The north or the
25?
South? Oh, 25. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You guys got a different slot.
There's a different slot south of Sargent. Yeah.
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 Yeah. We got lucky and stuck a good one,
Yeah,
and
they're out
trout.
there right now. They are out. They're still out there.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be on them. I'm excited about it. I got a couple things I need to take care of, but I'm smiling right now because I'm probably gonna give me one tonight. But
Me too. I'm going
yeah.
late too.
I've been, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks I've been focusing on those redfish, and I have not been on my trout pattern. But before that, I've been getting some between 24 and 26, and they've been nice. They've been stacking up, and I'm really looking forward to this winter, just because I
Well,
think
okay, I got a question for both
yeah,
you guys. What do you consider a good trout? Me, I think anything over like 25 inches,
yeah,
Yeah,
20, even a 24 can look
24
fat.
plus is pretty
Like
good.
you get a
5 pound
fat
plus.
24
Yeah,
and you're like, man, this is a good one.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
anything over
24
now.
5 pounder. That's a pretty good trout. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I have to agree, and it's because I think like for the average fisherman, some of them will never catch a 25-inch trout ever, um, and just to catch one, I think it's great.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm. I had a 22 and a half the other day, but she had some weight on her. She was right at 4 pounds on the boga.
Mm,
When they get like that, that's a good one.
mm. I think the biggest slot I brought in was a 6.3 pounder, and that was out
oof.
Yeah,
of my backyard.
that's
We got
pretty
some
good
fat
too.
ones here. I think at the other one, the tournament, I brought in a 5.65. That one that I brought in, that
Yeah,
was a 5.65. Yeah.
last year saltwater survival series, a redfish tournament, I had a 4.26 and thought oh yeah, I'm gonna do good. And then here comes Bargy with a 5.1. I had a 4.67 and he had a
Mm,
5.1. It was like a quarter, not, I'm like, damn,
yeah.
Clint.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I miss trout, and of course, like we have this tournament coming up, so I haven't been really focusing on trout, but I just can't wait to kind of get back to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. All right. I mean, you guys feel like y'all need to say anything else about the spot burning? You feel like you want to get off your chest, be honest about it? Go ahead and shoot it out for both of you guys. Me, I don't care, man. Be honest.
Dustin, we'll start with you, and
No,
I'll finish everything off.
I'm not, you know, it
Be
is
honest.
what it
Let's
is
be
what it
real.
is. It is what it is, man. People are gonna do it. That's
Just not in
that's
your
the
spot.
yeah, just don't burn. Yeah. If that's what you depend on to get subscriptions, then whatever.
Yeah. I think it's more the selfishness, right? Like some
Yeah.
people are just selfish about it. They don't care about who they're burning. They don't
Yep.
care about the negative impact that they're doing on the fishing community. And I think those are the people that are really
Yeah.
upsetting a lot of people. I'm guessing, right?
Put out something that's worth watching instead of trying to depend on something that you're ruining for other people's for your advantage. Put out good content. Don't have to depend on burning the spot. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's hard to do. I don't know.
Thomas Martinez. He said it'd be the people that don't catch anything, 1 to 2 fish per video.
that boy lit.
Shots fired on that one.
And being a representative of some kayak brands and some sponsorships and stuff, I want to go, irate on stuff. And we gotta, the community is what it's all about to me. I want to fish. I'm gonna fish. Go burn the
Yeah.
spot. I'm gonna go there and find fish too. That's the thing. You go there and figure them out. It's more satisfaction when you can do that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think it is another piece of the puzzle that we just have to deal with,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, it is going to happen. I like we said, I think I feel bad for those who decide to buy spots mainly because they're not getting anything out of it, and I just feel that that's the only reason why I feel bad for them. Just fishing is a the fishing experience is different for everybody. But if I had a choice, it'd be like mine, where I developed my love for fishing came from my uncle who took me fishing first time, and we went out there to oil rigs, and it was nonstop catching of like angelfish or spadefish. And that was like, I was hooked. I thought fishing was like that. And then whenever I got into college, fishing was not like that. It was tough. You went through, I went months without, I'd go out and I wouldn't catch a fish. Just because I was just experimenting with different things. But then I would not trade that for anything, because now I have developed this foundation that I feel like I can go to Florida, I can go anywhere on the Texas coast, and I can figure it out if I needed to. And that's rewarding to me. So,
and I think partial is like, you think partial of it, Jonathan, is maybe these people that are watching these videos, there's a lazy aspect to it. Like, you know what I mean? Are they being lazy by just paying for a spot, or paying for, hey, what lure they threw in the spot?
Yeah.
Because I think I learned the hard way. Well, I was raised a fisherman, right? My dad was a fisherman. He taught me how to throw a cast net at the age of 7. Catch bait, throw Kelly Wigglers is what we threw back then. The strawberry with whitetail.
Oh yeah, old school.
Yeah, and that's what, I'm 42 now, and fishing since I was a kid, and we kind of done things the hard way, where you spend an hour trying to catch bait, and sometimes you didn't catch no bait. You got to do it to what you got, and you got to go out there and grind it out, and sometimes you're fishing for hours and just and you're just waiting, and your dad's telling you, or whoever was teaching you,
be patient.
Yeah, be patient. They're gonna come, and then the reward, and we're in a day and age now where people don't want to do all that. They rather just
instant satisfaction, money, just like Drew Turner just said. They want that instant gratification. Boom.
Yep. Yeah, they just want to throw money into this thing and just tell me where they're at. I don't want to do all that. And I guess for what you guys are saying, it's not rewarding, because the most rewarding is going out in the water and experiencing these failures and learning what not to do, and growing and progressing is more rewarding, because you could be in any body of water and you've learned so much in your tool bag that you can use these tools wherever you go. Is that pretty much?
That's it. That hits the nail on the head.
That does. And I do want to say this. It's not like we want everybody to suffer like we did. That's definitely not it.
True.
The thing is that on the we have the internet. We have so much information at our fingertips now. You don't, like, if you put in even a little bit of work, you'll be a better fisherman. And then when I say a little bit of work, it just involves reading. Go to Too Cool, go to TKF, go to Facebook, go to these forums and just search. Network a little bit, because also at the same time that hones in some of your your detective work skills. Reading these reports. Okay, they caught them on these mud flats, or if they show an image. Oh, obviously they're in a marsh or they're open water. Yeah. They're wading. They're knee deep in water. That's valuable in itself.
Google Earth is your friend.
Google Earth, exactly.
Dude, you can see like people in their kayaks and cuts and marsh. And you're like, oh, who is that? And you're like, zoom in and you can figure out who it is sometimes. You see their truck, especially my truck. You can't miss. Well, I got a new one now, but he has a wrap truck. It's not wrapped right now, so I just got a new one. But I'm incognito right now, so it's nice.
Yeah. If you're out there, you see a wrap truck, it's Dustin out there. That's fine.
Pretty much. Oh, man.
But you just have so much, all this information out there that we didn't have whenever we were coming up. I mean, I started out with that, and I kind of cross applied it, but I know all these like old timers, they didn't have all this stuff. And fishing, I think in the overall scheme of things, if you're just trying to catch fish, fishing isn't that hard. Like it. And I know I may sound arrogant saying it, but I am going to say fishing is not that hard. Obviously, you have some limitations, especially those of you who are on banks. But even if you're on the bank, you can, there's only so many places that you can go. And then from those places that you can go, is it rocky? Is it, what are you targeting? If you put a little bit of effort into it, you'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So it's. I think we can just talk about this all day.
You can just keep going into the wormhole. But what's cool is what really benefits from being in the kayak is getting to the places the boats can't get.
Oh yeah,
that's what I really like.
Mike asks a question. Has anyone ever seen themselves on Google Earth while fishing? Yes. Yes. How about you guys? Are y'all? I think we should post some pictures, right?
I've
Just
saw
just of
myself
you
one time, like in my
and
kayak in my area, yeah, my truck and everything, yeah, for a little
oh,
while.
Aaron, I don't
Then
I don't use the Dodge anymore. I'm using, well, maybe I shouldn't say it, right? The Dodge is being used for work right now, so got something else I'm hauling around. But
All right, so I know we could talk about this all day, but we're gonna kind of end the conversation here. Um, for those of you who are listening on podcast land, if you want to join us live, we're live every other, or we try to be live every other Wednesday. You can find us at facebook.com/one last cast podcast. And again, to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Dirty South Kayak Anglers, a great kayak fishing forum right there on Facebook for a printing who does custom prints of our towels, and also they can do a bunch of other stuff too. Go to them if you need any of your custom work done. Awesome Knock and Tail Lures, awesome soft plastics. Dustin, I wanted to give a big
all
thank
I'm
you to
in.
you.
yeah, Dustin, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
thank you.
thank y'all for letting me jump on. I'm gonna return the favor. Like I said, I'd like to get all of quite a big round table of podcasters and have a meetup somewhere, and maybe have some beers afterwards somewhere, and just have a whole shindig and just talk about the state of the industry and or what we're seeing, trends in our area, different things like that. I'd love to get together and do something like that.
And to be honest, I think I like all our podcasters that at least all the ones that I watch. I watched the Ram Garcia guy.
Yeah,
I watched
Ram.
Drew's. I think they have really good content. I watched yours, and I think everybody has a little bit different flavor, right? No, but none of them
Yeah.
are the same. They're
No,
all
it's all
different.
different. There's room for all of us out there.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
It's like ice cream. It's all good,
It's all good. It's that Rocky Road. I'm not a chocolate fan. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but I would love to talk to everybody about how they're marketing and all that stuff. I would love to talk about Twitter and how that's going right now.
Yeah, the algorithms on Instagram have been slap stupid too.
Yeah.
Like they change every freaking 2 weeks. You're into marketing, and I'm into promoting things, and that too. Working with Jackson and working with Torquedo and trying to get stuff out there, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and we the social media things that I manage, we've been seeing some amazing growth. Like it's the most I've ever seen in any of the stuff that I've managed before. And just recently with the downfall of Twitter, it has everything, and not just Twitter, everything has gone downhill.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting and frustrating as a marketer about
Especially working in that industry. I bet.
Yeah.
Dang.
But thanks again for joining us.
Oh yeah, I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, and
thank our audience too. We had a pretty good audience.
Always.
Yeah, we had like I said, this is live. We try to incorporate chats, comments, and anything like that. There's always good stuff in here. Actually, if you are listening to us afterwards, just go to the live video we have on facebook.com/one last cast podcast. There's some good info in the chat here, and just go through it. Yeah.
I finally went to big screen and didn't have to squint as much to see it because I didn't want my glasses like glare with my little light, so I didn't want to put my glasses on and blind everybody. Good stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Again, facebook.com/one last cast podcast. This is Jonathan Wall. We have Merriel, Solesky, Dustin Nichols. You guys have a good one.
You later.
Take care.